Okay, these are slides I put together probably 20 years ago. I took a lot of pictures like you see out in the lobby there. I got them from the Ontario County Historical Museum down in Canandaigua. And as we go along, I'll explain what each one is. This was at the end of the lake, Woodville end. One thing about Canandaigua Lake, it's the right size. It's about 16 miles long, and it's about a mile wide at Vine Valley, not quite as wide in other places, but in the old days, when they didn't have cars or anything, it was good to go on a steamboat to go to Canandaigua. But what really hurt the steamboat business and everything is when the railroads came in. You couldn't go to Canandaigua on the train, but you could go to Stanley and then take another train to Canandaigua. So the steamboats went from about 1825 until about 1930. So here we go. This is the dock at Woodville. That's the way it looks, kind of like that today. This is probably 10 years or older than that. John Clark used to have the boat livery there. This is the Ogarita. There were 12 steamboats on the lake originally, and there were 3 that were built within a year in 1987 and 88. 1887, 88. Or am I wrong there? The Ogarita, the Ana Linda, and the Canandaigua. Those 3 boats were built within 1 or 2 years back in that time. This is some people from Naples down at the dock at Woodville. You could, before cars, you could take a buggy or a livery down to get on the steamboats. And there's a gal in there who was a teacher. I can't make her out. Capron. She might be in the next picture. But notice the costumes or the dresses they had on. Men were wearing hats. This was probably from the Ana Linda. You can see the sign there on the side of it. These were side-wheeler steamboats. There again, each cabin here was a little different. This had an eagle on it, and these boats would go about 20 years, maybe 25, and what would happen, they would flex where the engine was, and they would get a lot of leaks in them, so eventually they'd either, 2 or 3 things happened. They would burn up from the boilers, and all of them burned coal except the Ontario, that burned wood. And that must have been hard to fill it, to go back and forth, where the coal was a little easier to use. This boat was so wide that it had a ballast box in the center, so if a lot of people went over on one side to look at the scenery or when it docked, this ballast box would take care of the weight so it wouldn't tip, which was quite remarkable for when these were built. This Ana Linda would hold about 400 people, and when the grapes were ripe, they would hold probably 40 or 50 tons of grapes, which would go to Canandaigua. Grapes, before the wine business became popular, grapes were shipped all over the East, New York, Boston, and of course trays and mostly the little baskets. This is the Woodville Hotel. That was in use for several years. And down the lake there were other hotels which you'll see as we go along. This is Woodville probably at least 20 years ago. This is at the Woodville Hotel, and you can see there are not many trees in back here. It's amazing how I live on West Avenue and I've got pictures when it was all grapes and now it's all trees. We moved there in 50 years ago, and there was still vineyards on that side hill. But when the grape pickers came in, they didn't raise grapes there because they couldn't use the automatic pickers. This is a Standish who owned one of the Ontario steamboats. This is the little hack that would come down from Naples, go back and forth to meet the steamboats. And notice how, this is probably a regular day, how this lady is dressed. In the old days, they dressed pretty good. Nowadays, it's kind of casual. This is the Ogurita. The Ogurita, Canandaigua, and Analinda were, I don't know how they could get enough business with three of them built practically within 2 years of each other. But evidently in those days, it was a way to travel. It was easier going on the steamboat than a horse and buggy if you wanted to go to Canandaigua. This is a steamboat. Notice the smoke there is a little dirty too, probably riding on those steamboats. All of them except the Ontario burned coal. Woodville, 1896, that was quite a dock there. Woodville Hotel over here. This is the way it looked probably about 1920, I would say. It was getting to the point where it wasn't used a lot. Another view from the lake of it. But you can imagine the traffic going back and forth to Naples and down to Woodville. This is a road that, I think there is a roadway that goes up here today, but of course the trees are a lot taller. Whaleback's over here. Vierhile is down in here, which you'll see later. This is the road along the lake there at Woodville, and this is one of the boilers from a steamboat that burned up, and it was still here when this, of course, picture was taken. But I think that was used in World War I for steel or something. See, here's another picture of it. This is along where the boat launch is there in Canandaigua, or Naples. Another view of about the same area. This is where Skip Pierce lived. Skip was a barber. In fact, he was in our building, and where Dick Randall is now. He had his barber shop way in the back. Where Dick Randall is now, that was the Granby Bank at one time. But Skip was a good fisherman. He knew how to fish, and I think, was it whitefish he was good at catching? Anybody remember that? John? He was a good barber. If you go there, he'd give you a nickel. I can remember that. I think it costs a quarter and you get a nickel back. Can't do it today. You couldn't move around. Look at there, he's got a fish. What is that, a trout, you think? I would say so, but I'm not sure. Skip was quite a guy. There again, looking, that boiler point would have been up here. This is along the bank. There's still a roadway there now, but it's a little different. That's the way it looks today. Carrie Perello's cottage was right along here someplace. This is Coy Point, and this is Whaleback. Vierhile would be down here. This has had, that same point has had 2 or 3 names. In this picture, it's called Hunter's Point. That's the way it looked about 15 and 20 years ago. Granger's Point, the next point. When this was taken, there was only one cottage there. Now, there are a whole series of cottages, and I think there were grapes here then, and there are grapes in this picture. And there was I think a grape packing house here. This is before my time. I would say that's probably about 1900 or so. And you can see there were even grapes up on the steep hill where the rock cut is right here. And that same building we saw in the other picture was here. That's the only building on that whole point except for the house in the other picture, the cottage. It's amazing in the old days that postcards are one of the best methods of finding out about history, because you could mail a postcard for 1 cent and you'd always put a message on it, but it had a picture. And I've got postcard books. I would say I've got 600 postcards, and they're all the dates on the back when they're mailed, so you know about when it was taken, and it's amazing. This is the rock cut, and I think the gal there is a Standish, but I'm not sure. And Will Widmer, I believe, not Will, maybe Frank Widmer, one of the Widmers, took this picture. But of the rock cut, of course, looks a little different today. This is the oldest slide I've ever taken. That was taken in the 1920s, I believe. No, wait a minute, a little later than that, 40s maybe. I think slides came out in the, when did slides really come out? Anybody know? 40s, 45 maybe. But that was in the first roll of slide film. And it looks pretty much the same today. Notice the guardrails here. Granger's Point. Probably named after the family that lived there. Cayward was a photographer from Naples. I think this was a '02 flood, which kind of wiped out that point. We've had a couple other, when was the last flood when the water was high down the lake? What year? Wasn't too long ago. 70s, 72? This was similar to that, I believe. This is the Ontario. That's the one that was fired with wood, and I believe the Standishes. Now the Canandaigua, Skip, some relative of yours was connected with that, wasn't it? Canandaigua? Grandfather, great-grandfather. And that one was only used, what was it, 5 years or so? It burned, I believe. You think somebody set it, or that's what they thought? Yeah. Imagine setting fire to a boat like that. Of course, they eliminated competition, maybe. This, not sure what it is. It's not Pine Bank, I don't think, is it? Anybody know? I think it's Pine Bank. That's one of the oldest cottages probably on the lake. Another view of it. Kind of a nice looking rustic cottage. And Vierhile has probably had more pictures taken than any place in the state, especially up on the high road there. This is the Ontario. Now I've got a museum in Naples behind where the drugstore used to be, and I have two things in it. One was the anchor from the, wasn't the Ontario, it was the Ogarita, I believe. What happened, they anchored it in the lake, but they didn't tie the end of the anchor, and all the chain and the anchor went right into the lake. And the other thing I've got was the The Ana Linda in the pilot house, I've got a chair that was in the pilot house in my museum there in Naples. That anchor, tell you what happened, the fellow was skin diving later and he found it. He lived over to Vine Valley and he gave me the anchor. He kept the chain and there was about 150 feet of chain. Now Canandaigua Lake's about 16 miles long and it's I think 260 feet deep. It's a mile wide at Vine Valley, which is the widest part, and but that's pretty much the size of it. And one thing about Canandaigua Lake, it was nice because people could go from Naples to Canandaigua. Most lakes, like Seneca, is a long lake. You wouldn't go from one end to the other. And Keuka's not a bad lake, but it's a Y-shaped, so you got 3 different communities on each end of the Y. But Canandaigua was the right size. Steamboats would take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to go the length of it, but there were about 70 stops, and if you wanted the steamboat to stop, you'd take a white flag about 2 to 3 feet and put it on your dock. And there were names for all those stops too. So, and when we had 3 steamboats going at one time, there was a lot of competition to get the people. So sometimes they would pick up somebody and they'd forget the baggage, so the next steamboat would pick up the baggage and take it. I think this is maybe Ash Grove, but I'm not sure, I can't remember. It's on, now Mrs. Thompson had a cottage on the lake, and this was a little boat that she used to get up from Canandaigua was called the ferry. And as you can see, that's a steamboat. See this stack right there? The last boat on the lake was the help me, I can't think. You'll see it in a minute.
Oh, yeah?
No, it was not a steamboat. It was Eastern Star. I think the Eastern Star, I was on it when I was a kid because it went until 1932. And I think we either went down there and saw it as kids or might have been on it. But that's probably the only one a lot of people alive today that were on the boat. Anybody here on a steamboat? Marion? I think you were on one of the first ones, weren't you? I'm in the doghouse right now. This is Pine Bank, I think. Yeah. And that is where she went, I think. Am I right? Here's the Ana Linda. That was the largest boat, and that would hold, I've heard, or in some of the writings about it, it would hold 300 people and I don't know how many tons of grapes. See, in the old days, before the wineries were popular, they shipped grapes on these steamboats down to Canandaigua, put them on the trains, and they went all over in the east. And they'd also pull barges. They had barges, and they'd tow the barges full of grapes down to Canandaigua. And then they'd bring them back empty and load them up again. Another thing, that picture, imagine being on a deck. That's probably why they wore a lot of black clothes, because look at that smoke. This is one of those scows they would use. This had a sail on it to take the grapes to Canandaigua. And I think this is Lapham's Point. There's another name for it. I can't think of it. Anybody, Skip, you know? Of course, Seneca Point was the big point. There's a steamboat coming around, I believe, Seneca Point. Chadwick, Ann Chadwick lived right here. Someone said that The girls have it now. You know, he died not too long ago, within the last year or less. But I think the girls have bought and built a new cottage there. Anybody know for sure?
Yes, they have.
Nice one, probably. Yeah.
They took the old one down and built on the
Same base, like. Yeah.
footprint.
Yeah. This, I'm not sure what it is, but
I think it's Long's.
Long's Point. Didn't they have two names, Longs and Lapham or something? Same point? John, you know?
Well, I think Latham's were grape growers.
Okay.
So there were grapes up on the hill to the left there.
I may have a picture of them. Right there. These are the grapes.
But I think that's grain.
There, right there, Lapham's
Lapham's Point,
Point.
yeah. It is it.
But it had another name, I think, but I'm not positive.
I think that house is still there.
Long's Point.
Yep,
Long's Point.
Long's Point, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a stone
Nick-
house.
Yeah, next one was Seneca Point. Who's the old timer that lived on, we'll see it in a minute. Right here. That was a stone,
That's it.
Long's Point,
Well, and that was Latham's.
Lapham's.
They were the people who were the growers, grape growers. See
Okay.
grapes going up
Grapes
the hill,
up here.
and they lived there.
Now, who lived in this cottage? Do you have any idea? Was that a Long?
I think it's still there, isn't it?
Could be. Same place today.
Right.
Let me back it up. House is pretty well covered with trees there. That's one of those scows. They would sail it to Canandaigua. Most of the prevailing wind was going north, right? South wind blowing north. And then they'd tow them back with a steamboat. I think that isn't Seneca Point, that's Long's Point too, I think.
so.
Yeah, road down it. A few cottages on it now. This was, forget where I took that from. There, good.
That's Long's.
Long's
The next
Point.
one is Cook's
Cook's Point.
on the left.
Katie's family lived there, right?
Right.
Is that where you met Katie?
Nick, you got it. You got a car almost that old, too.
Maybe that's her grandfather. Look at those tires at it. Boy, that's different today, right? It's all grown up. Boy, it's amazing how fast trees grow, because where I live on West Avenue, when we moved there were grapes on that side of the road. Now it's all grown to trees. They planted pine trees, and those pine trees are probably 100 feet high. Now that vineyard was on its way out. This is going down to Cook's Point, I believe.
Right.
Vineyard
Dr. Long's house would be on the right.
right over here.
Yeah.
And then this vineyard was not being worked anymore, I don't believe, right?
Right. It looks that way.
About the same road, I believe.
It is.
Road goes down around here, but this is an old, real old picture. But even grapes over here. Boy, in probably 50 to 100 years, trees really have taken over. Seneca Point Road, which is a little different today. You got grapes up here, which wouldn't be there today. Stemple was, wasn't he on a boat?
George Stemple.
George
was.
Stemple, yeah. But there was a Stemple who was a policeman or something? I'm not sure.
Yep, I'm not either.
I can't hear. Oh, yeah? Sheriff or something? Yeah. There's the Ogarita, and this is where they were shipping. I believe that's Cook's Point, not positive. But they had a warehouse here where they probably shipped grapes. There's another view from further out in the lake. Now that's just before Cook's Point,
Yeah,
right?
it's what's called the Gotham.
Okay.
Ivan Gotham, Dr. Gotham owned that for a number of years.
There are 2 or 3 cottages there now.
Right.
Yeah. That's the way it looks more or less today, I think. That was probably 20 years ago. Here's the Elm Lodge, Old Doctor's House by Frederick Ferris Thompson. Would he be the Thompson Hospital man?
Yes. F.F. Thompson.
Did he live there, you think?
I don't know.
I bet it is. Old Doctor's House. I got that out of a, what do you call it when you keep pictures and stuff? Album. Built in 1864. That's probably one of the oldest cottages on the lake. There he is, George Cook, the old actor. Cook's Point. He looks old. Got a pretty good beard. Got a vest on, well dressed. Nettie Cook, Carolyn B. Cook, Elm Lodge. Is that still there, Dan?
No.
Gone. Was that facing down the lake north?
Yeah,
Here's another thing. In the Finger Lakes, most of them flow north instead of south, which you'd think they would, right? I believe. Now, who lives in this one?
that's Cook's Point, and that is the Cook.
Cook
It's
still own
owned
it?
by a Cook,
No kidding.
Alan Cook.
Is he still, or did he pass away?
Yep. No,
No kidding.
he's our age. He's young.
Okay. Really young. Here we go again. George Carter. Edie Smith, the Anna Linda at Cook's Point.
George Carter was a grape grower too. In fact, we've got some actual grape trays that say Carter on the ends of them.
No kidding. What's this, 1896? Or 8? What's about Anna Linda, that's right. Now this is Linden Lodge, which was on Cook's Point. Wasn't there a Cook's Point hotel or something too? This is the Carter right there. You got a grape tray with his
name.
No
Right.
kidding. Well, is it on with the stencil like?
Right. Painted on.
Okay, now where this is, what's there now? Tennis court. They tore this down? Wonder when they tore it down. You have any idea? Long time ago.
Good guess in the 30s.
Yeah. Wasn't around. Cook's Point Hotel, Linden Lodge. Changed the name, I guess. There is the Canandaigua. That was about the 4th or 5th boat. There were 12 steamboats on the lake. I think that was probably the 4th or 5th. There's the Anna Linda. The bottoms were painted black, and above the water line there, right in here, they were white. And the problems with these boats, they were braced here because the boiler was pretty heavy, and in time it would they had some way to put stuff in the water. If they had cracks in the seams, the stuff would get in those cracks and swell up, and so they wouldn't leak. But finally, the Ana Linda got so bad, they took it out. I think it was in Canandaigua. They were going up the lake, and it sunk when they were just starting, so it's over on the east side someplace. I think sometimes you can see it, part of it.
Yeah, it's around Sandy Bottom.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but that's what I'm told.
Now that's a postcard that was hand colored. You can tell how they've colored it. Sandy Bottom?
Honeyway? It's the one off from, what am I thinking of? Off from Gorham. Yeah.
Notice too, probably a Sunday, because a lot of people would get on the steamboats Sunday and go up the lake for different, there were hotels there were places for picnics, which you'll see here in a little while. Good shot of the Ogarita. There's that smoke. I think it would take normally about an hour and a half to go from one end of the lake to the other. But when you were on a steamboat that was making stops, it would probably take 2 to 2.5 hours. I think they would probably make maybe 1 or 2 trips a day, maybe 2. Ana Linda, one of them, and the other's the Ogarita. See, they're going from over to Vine Valley from this side to the lake, west side. I guess it's the west side.
That's probably Bopple Hill.
Right here.
Yeah.
That's the steepest road on that side, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Why did they had to make it that way? To save space or something?
Don't know. Because the old road went flatter.
This one is not a steamboat, it's Oriana, I believe.
Yep.
And I think that was enlarged. They took it apart and made it bigger. And in my book there, it says that one side it had the name spelled one way, and on the other side it was spelled a different way. I think that was the one. Okay, whose is this, Skip? Your family owned that? Still does? Who's the fellow that, I got a picture, I think it shows. There's a man here, I think he's got a jug of wine. The fellow that is right there that did the work on this. Is he still around? Oh yeah. There's people working on it. Still there, yeah. Now across the road, there's Skip's grandfather. You think he'll finish that whole bottle? He's got 2 kegs there too. He's in pretty good shape. I wonder who took that picture. This is another, that same building, same guy right there maybe. Yeah, right here.
Yep, go right out on the point.
Yeah. This is after they started work on. He still owns it, the fellow that did this work originally. Okay. They use it much? Oh yeah. Now there again, same family, Skip. This fellow's got a uniform on, see that? Mm-hmm.
got a tuba.
Hey, that's the same fellow that was by the. He still got the glass in his hand.
He does. He still has glass in his hand. That's
He
right.
got I think a bottle in one hand and glass in the other. He's a professional drinker.
That's a drum major.
This guy here is a drum major.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, right there. There's a lifeboat. And this is the building where the fellow was working on it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's an old picture. I don't know where I got all these pictures. Here's the Canandaigua. That only was around, I think, 5 years. Real nice looking. Notice the handiwork here. And there again, probably a Sunday. Look at the two dogs here. Pretty easy to get on that boat too, right from the dock. Smoke too, a lot of smoke. Must burn soft coal. Can't think of this man's name. George Miller? No kidding. Your grandfather? Great-grandfather? Wow. How old was he when he passed away, Skip? Pretty old, though. Of course, he doesn't. He could look that way when he was 50, or yeah, in the old days.
We know that.
Each steamboat had a different pilot house here. This is a hexagon or something. They got a flag. That one's white down here. Some of them were darker. Look at the fancy work around the side wheeler there. There's Bear Hill from Bopple Hill, right?
I think it's a little more.
Is it down
south.
further? I think it is. Cemetery there, though.
It could actually be, what's the road by Jane Shanks? I think that's it, because that Oakley Road, that cemetery is right on the corner.
Oh, it's up higher? By Jane Shanks? No kidding. That's right, it's not down too close to the lake.
That's right.
Son of a gun. There's the Annalynda. Quite a boat. They served meals on that, I think, too, and they had a ladies' cabin down here if the weather was bad. Here's another thing. I think they ran them in the wintertime until it got too snowy. The only time they wouldn't use them if it was foggy, because they couldn't tell where they were. And if they had enough wine, they wouldn't care. Okay, here's the gal that was a teacher, Joe Capron, right there. That was on the Annalynda, I believe. Here's a wheel there, different. Ogarita.
It might be that Oriana, because the Annalynda's captain's house wasn't that big.
Okay. Notice how they're probably on a weekend deal or something, but look how well dressed they are. They didn't have casual clothes in those days. Now this is, where is it, Skip?
It's got to be Seneca Point.
Okay. They're waiting for the boat to come in on the dock, right?
Notice all the vineyards in Vine Valley on that bare hillside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you the story here. In Naples, there were people, maybe 5 or 6, 7 families that would own a cottage, and they'd take turns using it. Weekends, everybody would use it, but during the week, they'd take turns staying there. And I can't think of the name of the people, but they're Naples merchants mostly. that would do that. On the other side of the lake, they did it too. This is on the west side. But this is probably a Sunday because you can see all the people just goofing off here. Well dressed. I think that's it. Where is it? Seneca Point. That place not there anymore?
I don't think that's there, but I think that's where, yeah.
Frank.
Who has it now? Car dealer. Dorshow. I think that's where Dorshow.
Oh, yeah. That's still there, pretty much the same, you think?
I think they took it down.
Oh. Both of them down.
Yeah.
Put a new cottage up. Whose cottage is this? They're in the grocery business.
Yep, Wegman.
Bob Wegman. That's quite a cottage. Wonder when they built that. Have any idea?
Probably late 60s, early 70s.
There's another one beside it, right?
Right.
Well, that's a beauty. There's the Ogorita pulling out from one of those places. There's a Bapple Hill Cemetery with a fence around it. When it backed up. There, that's what it looks like today, more or less. Steamer arriving at Woodville instead of that, Seneca Point. Notice the cabin here, the pilot's house. It's got an eagle on it. That's the Annalynda, yeah. Kid sitting on the front with his feet down. This evidently is an old dock that kind of weathered out. And that's the Oriana, I believe. What do you think?
Yes. And that looks like Seneca Point. You can see the steep,
Banks down here.
well, maybe it could be the other side of the lake, but I don't think so.
What's there now? What's the name? Bristol Harbor, yeah. I think I got pictures of Bristol Harbor now. Boy, this was a busy... These three boats were running at the same time, Canandaigua and the Ogorita, and this looks like the Annalynda.
I think it is now.
And they're at probably Seneca Point, because they had a hotel. They had a hotel at Seneca Point at one time. But look at the people on that baby. I'll bet in those two boats there are probably 500 people or more. This one's almost down to the water line. It was loaded, and I bet they didn't have enough life preservers either. They didn't have any. What they used to have were those cork or something in a thing that went around. You've seen those, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. I've seen one of them.
There it is, Seneca Point Hotel. It lasted 4 years. There was a fire back here in the laundry room, and they couldn't stop it. Once it started, it just burned up. I think it was in use 5 years, 1896 to 1900. Quite a hotel. Look at all the different rooms there, and did he? Another view of it. Grand Hotel, 1890 something.
Looks like 1898.
Yeah. I think it was built in 1895, burned in right after this picture was probably taken. Look at the,
Wow.
boy, I don't know how many rooms it has, it probably tells there, but it was a pretty large place. And all those people probably would come to Canandaigua by train and then come down the lake on the steamboats. A lot of people came from Rochester on the train. There was one that came down to Canandaigua, I believe. In the old days, and cars weren't that in use in those days either. Another view of it. There was the main building. Back here is where the fire started. Took the whole thing. Boy, that must have been quite a fire. Another view.
big place.
Tremendous building. You thought they would split it up too to keep it from burning, but they didn't think it was going to burn. Seneca Point Hotel. Wonder what that means. Is that published?
Published for George
Maybe he took the picture or something. There's what it looks like today, probably a little different. This was probably 20 years ago. There it is, Bristol Harbor. How many buildings are there? 5 maybe?
5.
Okay, now we've got looking south. What are the 2 points? There's a steamboat at this one. Point, is it Rochester? Point Rochester?
Could be Black Point.
Black Point. Let's see the next slide. Hunters. Is there a Hunters? Walter Cottage. Wait a minute, let me go to another one. Black
It is
Point.
Black Point.
Foresters had 2 names. Let's back it up. Look at the little. Doesn't Ann Peacock live
Right,
down in there? Yeah. She's got 2 or 3 cottages. Is that little building still there? Yeah, right here, I think it is.
I don't think so.
What do you think this is? Doghouse. Big dog. There's the Ogarita. Not too far out there either. Waves coming in. Foster's Point. There are not many of these boathouses left anymore. I think it,
Oh, come on. Yeah, I know who you mean. Think of it, not Policini. Yep, Policini.
the one that, was she noted for?
Well, her husband was with Tom Golisano. He was one of the,
Started the,
original.
Okay.
Right-hand man, I think, of Tom Golisano.
there's the Canandaigua. Notice the Canandaigua thing over the paddle wheel in this one. This is not very fancy. Now that's a big landing house there. I don't know what point this was. This is looking south, I believe. This is a boat we had a long time ago heading towards Canandaigua. There's the hill in back of Naples. Whaleback. No, this is, yeah, Whaleback, and this is Bear Hill. Telephone books. This is on Menteith Point. That's like a hotel. There were a lot of places like that, I believe, on the lake in the old days. Walter Hotel. I think it was 2 or 3 buildings in a row. You know, a lot of these pictures I got out of the Canandaigua Historical Society there, whatever it is. And a lot of them were postcards. See that one there? 19 what? 8?
1908, looks like.
Yeah. Menteith Point. Is that the one with the tree when you come down a hill, there's a big old tree? Maybe I've got a picture of it. There's a, don't know what point that is. This is, tells right down here. Sulphur Springs, Tickner's Point. Yeah, that tree there, I think that part of that tree is still there. You know what I mean? Look for it. But I think that tree, part of it, I think it's not all there, but a lot of it's still there. It's when you go around the bend and kind of, I don't know just how far down there, but you come down this hill, level out, and that tree is right there. I think it's still there. The smoke is going faster than the boat. It must be going, usually you get a, what do you get, a south wind?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Fisher's Point is down the bottom of Fosterville where Dallas,
Policini.
yeah. And that tree is still there.
What kind is it? It's a white tree, white
Buttonwood?
bark. Yes, got white bark on it, isn't it? We're learning something all the time. Now this is probably they're going up to one of the, what's the place where the hotel burned down there? Can't think of it.
Seneca Point?
Seneca Point, maybe. They had other things there. But notice how they're all dressed. There's a derby hat, straw hat. They got umbrellas. Lady didn't want to get sunburned. There's, who is it, Skip? I think he's got a fish on. Look at his hat. Yeah. Look at over across. I bet those fields aren't like that today. Well, there's a load, but not as loaded, heavy loaded as it was on those other pictures. This is the ladies' cabin, I think they call it here. Notice the steel there to where the weight of the engine was. Wonder where they had the coal for those things and how they got it on those boats. Never saw that. This is down off the city pier. What do you call it? Island, little
Squaw
island.
Island.
Squaw Island. That's an old picture. Right there, Squaw Island, city pier. That's an old picture.
Leave it there just a minute, Bill.
Okay,
Here to the,
this button towards the end. No, you got the wrong one. Right there.
okay, before, over here it was dredged out. This, of course, is City Pier. But Squaw Island used to have a, you could almost see it here, a sandbar that went back to the land. My grandfather on my father's side owned the farm. And I think Cliff Murphy has a picture of one of the cows actually walking out on the sandbar. Looks like they're right out in the water.
Boy, oh boy. Wonder he didn't sink in the cow. That is part of the city pier, I think, where the turnaround is over in here someplace. Squaw Island. Notice how small it is in this picture. That's a marina there. It's a pretty good shot here. City Pier. There used to be a school here where you could learn to swim. What's here now?
And on the lake.
And on the lake, right there. This is Sucker Brook. There's a dome on the, what do you call it?
Courthouse.
Courthouse. That's pretty, Main Street, right here. Pretty good picture. Honky Reese probably took it. You didn't take it, did you? There's the Ontario. You'll see another one where 2 or 3 of them at the dock down there in Canandaigua. This was the only one that burned wood. Yeah, those Ogarita and Analinda City Pier. There used to be a railroad that came right out on the pier there. Boy, that lake was really used in those days. Or it's used today. Look at the cottages around it. This one must be, you can see just a little smoke there. It's probably waiting to take another run up the lake. Well, that's got to be old. But that train hasn't been there in 60, 70 years. Okay, how many forms of transportation are there in this picture? Okay, we'll count them. A buggy, a car, a train, a boat, foot by foot, right there, this guy. 5 different methods. The train's still there too, right there. Trolley.
Trolley.
Trolley and a track for the other train probably. Was that a regular train? Yeah, right there. That's a regular train.
Right.
That's quite a car there, you know.
What is that,
It's not a Model T. That's quite a picture. And this is a little boat that went up to the, what's her name's cottage?
Thompson.
This is an ice house.
Right. Wow. One of the few pictures I've seen of that.
Yeah. Pine Bank, probably 2/3 of the way up, a couple miles down from Naples. Quite a ways. Probably had a chauffeur running that buggy or a boat. Now this is, they must be coming, either going or coming to one of the cottages or hotels up there. Look at all the baggage they got on that baby. But that looks a little like that other lady's boat. Maybe they turned it into a work boat. I bet it is. Look at it, had a cabin right there. I'll have to look sometime, the other picture. Seeger Marines, that's still there?
Oh, yeah.
City Pier. That's where they used to learn to swim, people. What'd they call that? Swimming school?
It was actually called swimming school. Mrs. Thompson built it.
She came originally, Mrs. Thompson came from Naples. Married, what's his name, Thompson. What was their maiden name? Can't think.
Yeah.
Clark. Mary Clark. Married Thompson. There's some ducks. That's where the that swimming school was, over in here someplace. There's a load. Look at how deep it is in the water. Man, you'd think it would tip over, you know? Wow. Man, see, this pilot house is different than the other ones.
I don't think they had code enforcement officers back then.
That thing is loaded. Probably went up to Seneca Point Hotel. Yeah, I want to back up a minute. That's a bell. I wonder what that is, a light?
Light, yeah.
Okay. Harvey Dr. Jewett, he was a fan of the steamboats. He built, or had these built. He was a doctor in Canandaigua. That's Cliff Wood. He was on those boats, and I took a lot of these pictures from his scrapbook here, right there. And he was pretty old when I took this. He was in, I think, the hospital or else in like a nursing home. But he was on the lake boats for several years. That was his main work. You know who that is? L.Y. Woodmer, front of her cottage. That's on the east side, the Canandaigua going south. This is down the city pier there, the boathouses. That's an old boat. It's amazing. I think I got most of these pictures at the Ontario County Historical deal there. Some unusual pictures. Boy, those places have been there a long time. You'd think they'd rot out. Maybe they do. That must be an older picture. Look at that. Well, they keep them up pretty good. Whoop, I'm going the wrong way. This is down there, and this fella's got baggage. He's probably going up to the hotel in Canandaigua. Got people off the boat there. Leaving wharf at the Canandaigua. Forget, I think that's the Oriana, I'm not sure, yeah. Anna Linda, I believe. You can see how the chairs were up here and everything. Piling along the dock there. That's different. Oriana again. I think they enlarged that boat, if I'm not wrong. And you know what this is? That's an old picture of
Roseland?
Roseland. Too bad that isn't there now, you know what? That was a good spot. That's an old picture. Look at the cars. Yeah. Probably 1920s. There's a Model T maybe, or looks like one.
Right.
Yeah, that's an old picture. There's the merry-go-round. What'd they call that? Carousel. Bumper cars here. Went to Syracuse.
Carousel Mall.
No kidding. Have you been? Have you seen it? Okay, who had the tour boat? McGuire. Mac McGuire. I think that had a roof on it, but the wind blew it off or something. There's his gas tank. Wonder if anybody stole gas. There it is with a roof on it. I would say 20 years ago. That's when most of these slides were taken. There's the Eastern Star. That was the last boat that operated on the lake, passenger boat. I've got another picture when it's really beat up, but that was looked in pretty good shape. And I think I was on that boat up in Woodville, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, notice the difference. See that? Boy, it really aged. There's that Cliff Wood who was a picture in a nursing home there. He said running on a boat on Canandaigua Lake was running like flying an airplane because he loved to do it. And that's true. If you like something, like this gentleman right in front here, he flies his own plane. with skis on it. So the weather doesn't make any difference. There it is again, Eastern Star in front of Vierhile, I believe.
It is.
Look at the fields, they were still working the fields up there. Another one of pretty good load on there, down the window. Must have been a Sunday. This is on the east side, I think coming up the hill from Canandaigua, which would be there, I believe, but I'm not positive. Might be the other way around, let's see. Okay, this is Cottage City. This was a little store there. I don't believe it's there today. That's in Cottage City. That was some kind of a hotel at one time. Boarding house, I believe. That slide's at least 25 years old, I'd say. On Linda. That is
Thendera.
Now that's not a restaurant anymore, and but that boathouse. Is there a restaurant in the boathouse there? Was, yeah. That's another part of it. Bethany Laterno Camp, Christian Camp, that's still there. Another view of it. That's been going a long time. That's looking over towards...
But it's Seneca Point.
opposite Seneca Point?
Yeah, just to the left where you see the kind of the center of the picture, those would have been Oscar Fox's vineyards.
Up here.
Then if you move to the left, Bill, that would have been Julius Rowe's vineyards.
Okay.
And then if you go more to the left, Oscar Fox, what was the other Fox?
Are there still vineyards there?
No,
Okay.
no, they're gone. No, well, over farther, but... Pardon? Will Fox, thank you.
Okay, this is looking over towards Bear Hill and Middlesex. This is Bapple Hill here. Out of the picture. Now that's over, as you go along the road by the lake there, it's, there's just a little cottage down in there. Don't know just where it is. There's Fishers. You can see that. I wonder if that's still there. It's up from Canandaigua a few miles. There's an old shot of the same place. Let me back it up. Same building, but way back. There's another. That's a funny looking cottage, but it's there. There's a lot of steep banks on that side. Okay, Vine Valley's down in here. This is a road over to Vine Valley. Naples is up in here. Woodville's over in there. Willow Grove, you know where that is? Part of not Cottage City. There's a store there. You'll see the store in a minute.
Oh, Vine Valley store?
Vine Valley.
Robeson.
Robeson store. Got a picture of that, I'm pretty sure. That's down in by,
Yeah.
Must be they got everything winterized there.
Ropes
Right.
store would be off to
Over,
the right.
yeah, right in here. We used to play baseball in that park in the old days. Right there it is, Robeson Store. Is that open much? It used to be open a little. Robeson's had it a long time, but then I think the state or somebody got it. Is it open just in the summer? It's an old store. I think what happened, the people that started it weren't the Robesons, but within a year, the Robesons took over and had it for a long time. This is a later view of it. Notice the willow tree is pretty rough shape. That's inside that store when it was going, and if you look close, you'll see a lady right here. She's got her hand on the scale. She doesn't show up too good, does she?
I think her name was Carolyn Underwood, but her maiden name was Robeson.
Married an Underwood. Or married a
And
Robeson.
the gentleman that used to bring grapes to Widmer's, his name was Hillman, but we called him Boney. Boney Underwood. Hillman
I
Underwood.
remember that name, yeah.
But this lady is his wife, and she was a Robeson.
Okay. That's got to be 20 years ago, probably.
Oh, yeah, Bill.
I think the store was open, 20 years ago.
Yeah, but I think this picture is way before that. Yeah.
This one here?
Yeah.
I took it, though, when I took these other ones. Don't know. There's Bear Hill from the lake,
Let me see your pointer, Bill.
the end one.
Now, see this building right here? That's the Robeson store is right over here, and this building was where the ships or the boats came up, and this is where they kept the grapes to load onto the boat. Now, and that building is still not there, but it's moved over just beyond the Robeson store. It's still there. It's
Okay.
used for boat storage.
Wow. They bring grapes to Naples? Or was it,
No.
they shipped them the other way,
Right.
way back? That's a blank. That's an old view of the church in Vine Valley, right there.
Wow.
Vineyards, that's an old picture. It's amazing to have these pictures, you
It
know?
is. Absolutely. Look at that. I hadn't seen that one before.
Boy, that's, look how well those vineyards are kept too, taken care of. Another old view. There's an old cottage down in here too. We're on Bear Hill evidently.
Right.
Vineyards up here. Okay, now, this is up the little ways from that Robeson store in Vine Valley, but this building is still there today. I went by it last fall, and you'll see, I think, another picture of it, I hope. But it's, right there it is.
Yeah.
See, that's the old one. Let me back it up. That's the way it was when the steamboats were there. This is an old picture, but it's in better shape now than it is in that picture. Whoever owns it is taking good. One of the few boathouses on the lake, old ones like that. There's one over at Windermere in Woodville there. It's an old timer. This is that Windermere, that's on the other side,
Quite close.
yeah, Woodville. Those are the two of a few that are still on the lake. There it is, Windermere. I don't know who owns it or anything. Now, this has got something to do with the guy that had the automobile business. There's an article in the paper about him, the Messenger. Willie's Overland. Yep, that's a cottage that they owned right there. You know, it might be that green one, but I don't think it is. You think it is? Let me back it up. Yeah. See this cottage here? Let me keep going. Take a good look at it. Wait a minute. See the roof? Could be the same thing.
Might be.
Yeah. I don't think that cottage is there though. Must have torn it down and put a different one up. There's a cottage over in there that's got all stone in front of it. Might be in that place. Millspaw. Villa M. Lee. I think that was part of that car place there. Millspaw. That's an old view. Comes up, Vine Valley's here, it comes up through. There's another old cottage there. I think I got a picture of it here. Yeah, that's the old one. I might have a new one. It's a log cottage. Well, it's right there, but I should have a better picture. No, I haven't. This is the fellow that had a sailboat over there by Vine Valley. And I don't think it's there anymore, but this probably was taken 50 years ago. And this goes out, there's a point here, it used to have a log cabin, log house on that point. Let's see if I got that picture. No, it shows it the way it looks today. No, I haven't got it. But you go around here and there's a house right in there someplace.
I think that's the Mary Granger.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a log, there's a log cabin next to it or something, part of it. I still haven't got it.
Oh, I don't know that. Senator. Yes, he did, yeah.
This is down in there, but I can't think where it is. It's on that side.
Well, I don't know if that is. Yeah,
That's the one. Is that the same cottage? Let me back it up. Yeah, it is, I think.
The road is in front of the house?
yes.
You go right down here and around.
Yep.
There's a lady all alone on that whole boat. Look at that. She must have rented it for the day. She's well dressed too. You know, I don't know who this fella is, but no, I don't know who it is. I should have put his name on there or something. But he had that cottage there on the east side. Look how close that boat is to the post. Now I showed these someplace, and one of these girls was at the place. I think I showed them down Vine Valley one time. And there was somebody in the boat that was at the showing. This is way back, and that's East Hill above Naples, way up in there. Swamp is up in here. Of course, there's a fellow that lived here. I think he,
That's right, Crabtree. Right
yeah,
down.
John Crabtree. Didn't he work for Kodak or something? What did? Wow. Cord Roadster antique car. Boy, today there's a big cottage over here.
Right.
Beauty.
Now you see the vineyard there too. That was
Part of it?
still in operation up until the 60s anyway.
No kidding. This is along that same road, and not sure where that is. I think it's, there was a yellow cottage down in a little cove there or something. Let's see if I got a picture of it. No. But this was over the dock there in Vine Valley, I think. Look at the lifeboat here. Or what's that, Oriana?
That's a hard one.
Don't know. It's not the Ogarita.
No.
Might be the Oriana. It's got a lifeboat on it, see that? Same boat.
Yeah, it is.
Boy, I don't know where that was. Wouldn't be by the scout camp, I don't think. Although it might be. It's a funny boat. This might be by the Boy Scout camp. Yeah, it is. I think this was part of the scout camp at one time. That's another. That's owned privately in a couple cottages along there, I think. Part of the scout camp. Inside the scout camp, not being used. This is actually Woodville's over in here, and that's up on 21. I don't know why I put that in here.
Right.
Yeah,
There's a big pile of dirt there now instead of the pond.
yeah. Okay, this is, that's a boiler that sunk in the lake there, and I think they were getting it for scrap, World War I or II or whatever. But I don't know the names of those guys.
Where is that?
That was over on the east side near that scout camp. And it might have been out in front of it, I'm not sure.
Burned, huh? Burned the Woodville and
Floated over. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. There's one over there, that Boiler Point, in the other slides, but this one floated over and sunk there. This is the swamp up in there, the
West River?
West River. That's an old picture. There's West River, Clark Gully. That's what West River used to look like. West River had a railroad station right there. Naples is up to the left. Middlesex is this way. That's an old, was a postcard, see the thing on the top? There the boy is fishing. I don't see any fish though. Whoop. There's a Tulare, Howard Tulare. Remember him? Ran the Naples record. I'm pretty sure that's him. There's a dog there someplace.
Yep,
Right there.
under his right hand.
Yeah. Petting a dog. They're on a fishing expedition. Now these are just general pictures. This is Del Doty had a store up in Naples, and this shows him at the dock there in Woodville. Look at the people in that car. What kind of car do you think it is? A Maxwell or something?
It's interesting. They are. They're bigger than their ears.
Yeah. Smoking Lake. Did that not too long ago. Ice fishing out there. Woodville over here. Okay, this is a picture. The whole lake was ice. And it probably about the time that car went through it. This vineyard is the one that was in the other side pictures. Not being used anymore. Going down to Seneca Point.
Cook's Point.
Cook's Point, that's right, not Seneca. Here's what they used to use the lake for in the old days. They're bringing hay down, I think to Canandaigua, but I'm not positive. Wouldn't be going the other way, I don't think. Baled hay on the ice in front of our house, 1918. Isn't that something? I wonder if they have special shoes on those. Can't think of his name. He was on the lake boat, so. This is a barge that would drive the pilings in along the shoreline for docks. This is the Ogarita fella in the pilot house. That belonged to somebody, and the guy was going to give it to me over on Seneca Lake. He had me over there to show it to me, but I never got it. Probably somebody in the family got it, but it was in a cottage on Seneca Lake. It was on one of the boats from Canandaigua Lake, though. Don't remember which one. This is, boy, I can't think of his name. Right there. Can't think of his name. This is a list of the different points on the lake. There are 83 altogether on that.
Boat stop?
Yeah. If you wanted the boat to stop, you'd put a flag out on a post or pole, and if they'd see it, they'd come over and pick you up. Who's that little girl there?
You know?
I don't know her.
Right here.
That's Katie. She's right here. George Stemple was 90 and Katie was 20. How old were you there, Katie? 4. Look at her eyes looking at him. Pretty good picture. What'd you do, give him something?
Cookies.
Cookie? For his birthday. Son of a gun. Now here's a ticket for the Joseph Wood. 1862. Steamboat Joseph Wood. This is the baggage tag on one of the steamboats. Louis Sayer, 25 cents. Canandaigua Steamboat Company. Now, this was a list of the stops, but these were the main stops. They'd normally go there anyway. The other ones, you'd have to put a flag out. 22 on that list. This is that Cliff Wood, who I showed you the picture of. This is his pay for working on that steamboat. Can you read that? 190.
196.67.
I don't know how long it was, but all summer. Could have been. That was for working on the steamboat. These are for sending freight or something. It's $6.09. I think there were some animals on there. There would be animals on the steamboats too. They'd take up and down.
See D.H. Maxfield on that one on the right?
Denny Maxwell?
Yeah. Right
Yeah.
kind of in the middle.
Right there.
D.H. Maxfield.
Yeah. Heaven. This is a guy from Clifton Springs, but I don't know whether, yeah, excursions on Canandaigua Lake. Name of the boat was Rescue. No, Palace Steam. I don't know. Would hold 40 people. You could, this is the Anna Linden dry dock down Canandaigua. I don't know how often they do that. They'd leave it in the lake all winter though, I think. I don't think they could take them out. But maybe they were repairing it or something. Here they're pulling it up out of the lake. Notice a horse. Must have had a lot of blackened tackle or something. Here they're working on it. Boy, that baby's heavy. The J. Wood. That's got kind of fancy work here, and I don't know where it is. Joseph Wood. This is in Woodville, Naples Clubhouse. That was about where Skip Pierce, down in there someplace. Just a little ways down from Woodville. Here's the Oriana on the dock over in Canandaigua. Cooperage, notice all the barrels? Wonder where they'd be going. Oriana, where do you think they'd be going?
We're going to Miller's Winery.
Yeah, or maybe Vine Valley.
Yeah. Notice the gas tank.
There's a
right
gas
right.
pump right there.
Gas pump, yeah.
Wonder if they locked it up. There's a guy standing up here, see him? There's that same boat that went up to the, what's her name's, Thompson's cottage, yeah. Ferry, they call it. I should know who this is, but I don't remember. One of the fellows that owned a steamboat, though. Look at the shirt on him. Here are different tickets and schedules, 1915. Well, let's see what it leaves Woodville at 7 a.m. Leaves Canandaigua at 3 p.m. Now that's the Eastern Star and that's the Ogarita, so they were still going. Don't know what dates on there. 1912, that's right. Well, there's the Ogarita, Eastern Star, and the Ana Linda. What does it say about the Ana Linda?
They make daily trips except Sunday as long as grape shipments warranted to Canandaigua at 7 a.m.
They must have used that
Down the west side.
just for grapes because it would hold more. And the other would, of course, this couldn't take too small. It was just for passengers. 3 boats on the lake right there in 1912. The Eastern Star must have been going, it was still going in 1932 or 35, so that'd be 20 years after this. Must have been brand new about when this was taken, that picture. Ana Linda, don't know where it is. And they're putting grapes on it here, you can see them. Busy day down at the city pier.
Wow.
Must have been a special, look at all the people along there. Yeah. Boy. This is what happened to the Ana Linda. They were towing it up the lake on the east side and it sunk. And this is a little house down in Canandaigua. That was made out of the boards and stuff from one of the, I think it was the Ana Linda when they stripped it. They made a cottage there on one of the side streets. Okay, this is when we're on a trip with L.Y. Widmer, that Cliff Wood, and that's Hopi. I don't know who these people are. But this is over near Bristol Harbor. We took them up for a ride from Canandaigua. That's Pine Bank over there. That's Cliff Wood, Elway. Getting off the boat. Can't remember this fellow's name. But this was down at your place, Cook's Point. Is that light still there?
Boathouse is across the church.
It's gone. Bathing beauties on Canandaigua Lake. Son of a gun. I think it's Canandaigua Lake. Does it look like the Ana Linda? This one is over in Hammondsport. But Hammondsport had, being a Y-shaped lake, it had 3 different little towns around it. Hammondsport, Penyan, and Branchport. This is Penyan Lake Keuka. Pretty nice boat.
Sweet.
Notice that's a photograph that was painted. I don't think it's a color picture. That is on Seneca Lake, I believe. This is up on Ticonderoga in, where is it, up in Lake Champlain, yeah. There's a side view of it. See that? This is what would drive it. Those, they had vertical pistons. That's on that same boat to Ticonderoga. Dining room. Cabin. It's kind of a museum. There's a lounge like. Where is that? I can't remember. Is it, I can't remember. Lake George? Lake George, maybe. Same boat. What does it say on, can you read? Chautauqua Lake. Okay. Is that the same boat?
Yeah,
It is?
I almost think so.
Name? No, it isn't. Because the name would be right there. Chautauqua Lake there. Where's that? Mississippi. Natchez. Same boat. Wonder what these flags are. Look at the Calliope. Tour boat. Where's that? New Orleans. That same boat's over here. That's on one of the boats. Boy, that's a big boat. I think it was on one of those, one of the picture in the picture. Imagine, but they held cars. That might have been on the Mississippi someplace. Can't remember. That's a big boat. San Francisco to Sacramento. Delta Queen. We're on that one. Mississippi. Another one on the Mississippi, I think the Delta Queen. And I think that one is the last slide.
Good job, Bill.